In a few days, Secret of the Mimic will celebrate its 1-year anniversary. And in this year, we still haven't heard anything of the new upcoming FNAF game from Steelwool. We were hoping we would get to see something on the latest state of play, but unfortunately there was nothing there. So basically this means we won't be getting anything from FNAF this year. Okay, that's not entirely true. We will get the 5 Laps at Freddy's game this year, if they keep their promises. But it's not something to be hyped for. I'm not gonna lie here, FNAF feels a bit dead this year. There's nothing to be excited for. The only thing we can do to pass the time is predicting the new FNAF game. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll give you my ideas about what the new FNAF game could be and what I would like to see in that game. It's quite hard to tell what the next FNAF game will be, since the only information we've gotten from Scott is that one FNAF game will get a second one, like Sister Location 2. This means the only logical options are FNAF World 2, Sister Location 2, or Security Breach / Ruin 2. I also want to talk about the Fall Fest, Fredbear and Fetch game, even though it's very unlikely they'll come out. I still think there's a small chance that we will get to see one of those games. I'll start predicting the FNAF World 2 game, since in my opinion the least interesting one. The reason I'm not really excited for a second FNAF World game is because I never enjoyed the first one. RPGs aren't really the kind of games I like to play. Actually, the only RPG games I've ever played are FNAF World and Minecraft Dungeons. So it's hard to say what I would like to see in a FNAF World 2 game. I can't say that I enjoy moving around while attacking more than just standing still and pressing some buttons. It gives the player much more freedom and makes the fights a lot more fun and intense. So if FNAF World 2 would add this type of gameplay, I think I would enjoy it much more. Something else what I would like to see is a level system for the animatronics. Every time an animatronic levels up, his powers get stronger and sometimes gets new abilities. This makes sure you don't change your team too quickly with new animatronics and that you actually want to save up for more levels for that one animatronic. For example, if you like Bonnie that doesn't have strong abilities, you don't have to swap him out for another animatronic. You can just level him up so that he can easily compete against the harder enemies. The map / levels should also be in 3D instead of 2D, and again, I would like to walk around the level. They could make levels about Security Breach and Sister Location, with a lot of Easter eggs from the books and games. Also add secret rooms where you can collect items to make your team stronger. And add boss fights to the levels, so that there is a proper build up for the boss. The simplest thing that they could do, and probably will do, is adding a ton more characters. A lot of FNAF games have been released after FNAF World, so they can easily add those game characters in the second game. This also works for new bosses, like a DJ Music Man and a Mimic boss fight. I don't really know what I want to see more in a second FNAF World game. Most of the ideas I called out are for Minecraft Dungeons, because that was an RPG game I liked. I can understand that people don't want a Minecraft Dungeon lookalike game for FNAF World, and more prefer the standing still and pressing buttons game mechanic, which is fine, but it's something that I don't really like. I'm not the biggest fan of FNAF World and don't really want a second game on this honestly. If it does come out, I'm not gonna be mad. I'm just happy for the people that do like FNAF World. I only have one big request to Scott if he does make a FNAF World 2. Don't make it canon. I don't like that this cute world has connections to the dark story of FNAF. It doesn't fit at all. It would also make the FNAF world more confusing like the books did. I recommend to give it its own story, like the movies. Now let's talk about Sister Location 2. I don't know where this rumor came from, but out of nowhere I heard a lot of people talking about the second game for Sister Location. It kinda confused me, because I remember that a lot of fans didn't like Sister Location when it came out. It was nothing like the original FNAF games, and for some people it was too sci-fi. I think Sister Location was great. The only complaint I have with this game is that its replayability sucks. After playing it once, you exactly know what's going to happen in every night. Enough said about this game. Let's talk about the possible second game. First of all, where should this game take place? I think it's obvious it can't take place after the events of Sister Location. The Phantom animatronics are gone, which means there's no threat in this location. So I think it makes more sense that the game takes place in Circus Baby's Pizza World, the pizzeria before Sister Location. In this pizzeria, the original Phantom animatronics performed for the kids, and probably also Phantom Chica and maybe Music Man. This is the location where the accident happened with Elizabeth, so it would be cool to see this killing on the last night. Because this is a pizzeria, it doesn't sound like a big location, so I can't see that Steel would make this game, or at least no free roam game. I think the same formula as Sister Location, where you point and click to move around, would work the best for this game. Steel could still make this game, but they have to use Scott's point and click gameplay to make it feel right. An interesting fact about this location is that it's never been opened for the public. In this teaser image for Sister Location, they talk about that the grand opening has been cancelled due to gas leaks. It also states that locals seen a strange activity around this location at night, what probably caused the sudden shutdown. They also told that there was only a handful of people that got to see the inside of this location, kids from here and there to make sure everything worked right. So based off of this information, I think it's clear we play as a night guard that has to check the animatronics and other attractions to see if they still work. This idea also provides the same gameplay as in Sister Location, which fits well for a second game. One thing I would like to see in this game is the official reveal of the Springlock suit that you used to hide in Syslocation Night 4. Scott did say it's kinda important for the FNAF lore, so I'm not sure if he wants to reveal that, but it could help to understand the story better. Like I said, this is the pizzeria where Baby killed Elizabeth Afton, so a boss fight with Baby on the last night will be very epic. Make it like the old games, where you sit inside an office and have to survive 6 hours with Baby. Every hour that passes by, Baby gets more aggressive. Basically the same style with the ended boss fight. I also think it's a smart idea to add a custom night in this game, just like Scott did with Syslocation. Because if the gameplay would be the same as in Syslocation, the replayability would be very poor. So by adding a custom night, players would replay the game much more often. This is what I would like to see in a second Syslocation game. The same formula as in the first game, but in a different location. I wouldn't mind if Steel would make this game, because they are really talented game developers. How they animate the animatronics are so cool to see. And if it turns out to be free roam, I'm fine with that. But I would like to see a point and click section, like a boss fight with Baby or the added custom night. Still, I don't really know how many fans are waiting for this game. Syslocation was not received very well by the people, so I don't know if it's a smart idea to make a second game on this. I would really like to see it, but if it doesn't work, I get it. Now we are moving on to the most logical game that is coming from Steelwool, Security Breach / Ruin 2. This game takes of course place after the Ruin ending. Cassie escapes from the Mimic just in time, but unfortunately gets betrayed by Gregory and falls down with the elevator. Of course I have no idea what's going to happen next, so everything what I'm going to say is just a big guess. First we need to know where Cassie ended up with the elevator. We know the Mimic chase is inside the sinkhole underneath the FNAF 6 pizzeria. And knowing that the elevator goes back down really hard, it seems like we end up in a much deeper and darker place. My theory is that we end up in the ruins of the underground basement from the Edwin Custom Manor building or Syslocation. It could even be both, because there is a theory that William Afton took over the factory and built a Syslocation inside this huge basement. Also knowing that the Mimic found these old costumes here on the ground tells me there is more going on down here. Our main objective in this game is to find a way out of the sinkhole and get back to the surface. While doing this, the Mimic stalks us down and tries to kill us. I think it's a cool idea that at some point of the game we find an old Syslocation office where we have to survive against the Mimic. In this office it will be nice to see a point and click gameplay style, just like the old FNAF games, where you have to close doors and maybe shock the Mimic with the old panels from Syslocation. I don't want the whole game to be point and click, but it will be nice to have a small section for this, just for nostalgia reasons. Also in the Ruin ending, we can hear Roxy speak out Cassie's name, so it would make sense that Roxy will help us throughout the game, like giving us tasks and help us defeat or escape from the Mimic. But it could also be a trap from the Mimic that mimics Roxy's voice. For example, do you remember that the Mimic's arm was cut off by the elevator doors? It could be that the Mimic took Roxy's arm while fighting her and attached it on his own shoulder. So now when we exit the elevator, we could get tricked by the Mimic that uses Roxy's hand. Like that the Mimic hides in a dark corner and we see Roxy's hand sticking out. But when Cassie reaches for that hand, the Mimic shows himself and we have another chase. I would also like to see a gameplay mechanic where we have to lure the Mimic with this robot from FNAF 6. It's a perfect opportunity to show this robot for the first time. I mean, we're literally inside the FNAF 6 pizzeria. One issue I have with the whole idea on this game is, how can we have a 6 to 8 hour long gameplay on this while it takes place in a building we already seen twice? Yes, the underground parts of the sinkhole are brand new for us, but if we get back to the surface, we again see the Pizzaplex. Now there are of course enough places from the Pizzaplex we haven't seen in Ruin, but I'm not really excited for that honestly. At this point we have seen the Pizzaplex enough in my opinion. I do have a solution for this problem, and it's something that Steel and Scott have never added to the FNAF games. I think switching from character could fix this problem. For example, we play as Cassie in the sinkhole and activate a cutscene that ends with a small cliffhanger. Then we switch to Gregory's point of view and play him for a while. This keeps the player entertained and makes him play longer because he wants to know what happens next with Cassie. Now the question is, what does Gregory do while Cassie's stuck in the sinkhole? I think it would make sense that Gregory and Vanessa are trying to find a way to stop the Mimic now knowing that it's free. Maybe they find an old Fastbear location that has answers to the Mimic's program, or they try to find the data diver from Secret of the Mimic. One thing that I really want to see when playing as Gregory is Freddy's head. If you remember the canon ending in Security Breach, Gregory takes Glamrock Freddy's head and exits the Pizzaplex with Vanessa. I want to know what happened to Freddy. Is he still alive? And if he is, maybe he could be a device we can use to solve puzzles, like using his scanning eyes to track footprints or data. There is so much more to theorize on this possible new FNAF game, but then I end up talking for another hour. I just hope this is Steel's upcoming FNAF project, because I have so many questions for this game. Do we defeat the Mimic? What's going to happen with Cassie? Where is Gregory and Vanessa? And what's the blob? I am really excited for this game and I'm waiting with great anticipation for the trailer. The next game we're going to talk about is the Fall Fest game. This rumor has been going around since the release of the Cursed Rabbit DLC. In this DLC's main hub, we can see a banner calling out Fall Fest 83. At the time we're not quite sure what happened at that place. It seemed like a normal festival. But later on in other FNAF games, we saw the word Fall Fest much more often. So we knew something important happened there. This made us think that at some point we would get a game about this festival. Now at this point we still haven't gotten that game. So the question is, will we ever get to see this game? I think the chances are pretty low, honestly. The reason why I think this is because we recently know what happened at that place. In Secret of the Mimic, we get to know that Fiona died at the Fall Fest in a fire. The only mystery is how the fire started. Was it an accident, or was it William trying to break Edwin? So now that we know what happened there, it's not very important more to make a game out of it. It's just some information that fills up the story for Secret of the Mimic. It's basically the same thing when Scott mentioned another pizzeria in his FNAF games, like Chica's Party World. It has some interesting facts to fill up the story, but it's not that important to make a game out of it. But what if they do make a game out of this event? What do I think this game would look like? First of all, I don't think it will be a separate game, but more a DLC for Secret of the Mimic. Since the story of Fall Fest happened a few years before Secret of the Mimic, I think it will be perfect to combine those games and make a DLC out of it. I think that Fall Fest takes place in a small town, on a piece of meadow with different kinds of attractions and stalls. Now I have no idea who we play as. My biggest guess is Fiona, since she's the only character we know who is at this festival. We could also be a random night guard or a local from town. I do think the game takes place at night, when nobody's at the festival. Because knowing Steelwool, they don't like adding hundreds of people running around in their games. They always find a way to make sure you don't see a human walking by. My biggest question is what the objective needs to be in this DLC. I can't think of anything you have to do. Maybe building up your stall or something. Also, I have no idea how you fill up this DLC gameplay wise. You probably can play some small minigames like knocking over cans and shooting targets, but other than that, I have no idea. It could be a huge puzzle game that leads you to different attractions and buildings. Another question, what's the threat here? Who is the one chasing you? The only logical option will be William Afton, since he could have started the fire. But I don't think Scott wants Steelwool to make a 3D model of William Afton. Scott likes to hide William Afton by only showing him as a purple sprite. These are things that don't make sense to me to make a game or DLC out of it. There are just too many problems. But who knows, I could be wrong. Steelwool would probably still find a way to make it work. Now I'm curious if you guys still think a Fall Fest game will ever come out, because I personally am not that sure anymore. Another FNAF game that might be possible to come out is a Fredbear game. Fans want this game for years. Everybody wants to know what the first Fazbear location looked like. I still think there's a good chance that we will get to see this game at some point, especially since the release of Secret of the Mimic. That game takes place around the same time that Fredbear's Family Diner is an active pizzeria. Now if this game would come out, who would make it, Scott or Steelwool? I honestly think it's a smart move to let Scott make this game. If he still knows how to make his original FNAF games, it would be a perfect way to revisit this old styled FNAF games one more time. But if Scott lets Steelwool make this game, I wouldn't be mad. I only have one request on this game. Make it point and click, or at least a big part of it. It's fine if there are free roam sections in the game, but a Fredbear game sounds like it needs to be point and click. I also think this location is too small for a free roam game. One problem I'm dealing with is, who is the threatening character here? Who is the one that hunts you down? It can't be Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, because they don't have souls in them. Maybe William Afton that wears the suits to hunt a night guard, but that would be very stupid. I mean, who would scare his own employees? The only logical solution I can think of is the Mimic. In the end of Secret of the Mimic walks away with a data diver. We have no idea where he's going or what is he going to do. We know that he's not walking back to the factory, because that building is on fire. The only place I can think of is Fredbear's Family Diner. Maybe the Mimic hates Fazbear Entertainment because they kept sending new employees to the factory, and now he wants to ruin the company. So I think the Mimic would be the only logical option to be the main antagonist for this game. He can use the suits to haunt a night guard, and he's pretty powerful. I also think this makes for a good plot twist that the Mimic and William Afton have met or seen each other. I wouldn't be surprised that the Mimic learned from William Afton how to lure and kill people. Although he was pretty good in it already if you look at what he did in Secret of the Mimic. But it would explain why Burntop is the Mimic, because he mimicked William Afton. I don't have many more ideas for a Fredbear game. As long as it's point and click, I'm happy. I think if Scott or Steelwool would release this game, the fanbase would go crazy. Almost every FNAF fan would like to see a game based on Fredbear's Family Diner. There has been so many stories told about this place, which makes it such a mysterious location. But that can also be the reason why Scott never wants to make a game about it. It could ruin the mystery of FNAF. So if that would be the reason we never get to see a Fredbear game, I understand that. I still hope we get to see this game one day. The last game I want to talk about is the Fetch game. I do think and hope that this game will come out someday. Meerkat Studios did such an amazing job with Into the Pit, and I want to see more of that. In one of the endings from Into the Pit, we see a message calling out, "See you." This is a reference to the story of Fetch, cause the book also ends with the letters "See you." So they kinda confirmed a second game, but nothing has been proven. They did recently release an 8-bit game for God of War, so they are probably working on a new game. But the question is if it's FNAF. I don't really know what I want to see in this game, because I don't remember the story of Fetch anymore. But I'm sure Meerkat Studios can make something very good out of it. If they maintain the same atmosphere they used for Into the Pit, I'll have full confidence in them. These were my ideas of what the following FNAF game could be. There are many possibilities, and I think most of the games I call out will release someday. We now have to wait for Steelwool till they finally show a trailer or a teaser image for the next FNAF game. My guess is that we get to see something on the 12-year anniversary of FNAF, which is on August 8th. I'm curious what you guys think. What do you think the next FNAF game will be from Steelwool? And what would you like to see in that game? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why don't you like the video and perhaps subscribe for more FNAF content. And if you're in the mood to watch another video, click on one of the videos that pops up on your screen.